Happy holidays from Fostering Parenthood. It's me, Dorothy Daniels, here to offer caregivers support during this joyous yet trying season. Man, the holidays can be tough with all of the commotion of company, cleaning your house, cooking, and on top of all that, taking care of the kids, who may still be new to your home or new to your holiday traditions. This season can bring up a lot of trauma and memories for foster youth because it's the time of year usually celebrated with their family. It can also be hard on caregivers to manage the stress and responsibility of having that perfect holiday. I know how hard it is on me. I have 2 kids currently in the hospital and an entire Winter Wonderland for foster children event to plan. Faye Holmes, a care service specialist for Fostering Unity, joins me in this episode to help me with my struggles that I am personally going through during this holiday season. I also had the opportunity to speak with a few of my children who have been in my home for years, and yet I learned some things that I didn't even know what was important to them during this holiday season. So join us with a cup of hot chocolate, a cozy blanket next to the fire, and practice some self-love while listening to our very special holiday episode. I'm so excited to have you here just sharing all of your amazing experience during this very special time of year. And I want the caregivers and folks listening to this podcast to really get to know you. Can you share with them just a little bit about who you are?
Yes, my name is Faye, and I am a care service specialist for Fostering Unity. And what that means is I get to interact with hundreds of caregivers and share resources with them, and just the ups and downs of being a foster caregiver. My background, I'm actually a foster parent myself. I have a 3-year-old foster child, and I just adopted another 3-year-old as of May.
Yay!
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Congratulations.
So
That's really
excited.
exciting.
And my background is I'm actually a former foster child myself. So I
Wow.
bring a lot of lived experience to the role as a care service specialist. So I hope that that experience helps others
Mm.
to be the best caregiver that it can be, and also give a little insight to them on what it is to be like, what it's like to be a foster child.
Wow. I think especially this time of year, having insight into what our kids are going through is especially important. I think the holidays, although joyful, and as you can see, I love the holidays. For those of you that are watching the podcast, I have my Believe sweatshirt on, and I've decorated my office out pretty like almost weirdness, but it's pretty festive. And I think it's important for caregivers to understand more about the intensity of what this holiday season can bring. Um, did your kiddos, before they came to you, do they have any memories of what the holidays look like?
No, they don't, because my kiddos came to me soon after birth, one at 5 days old, the other at 18 days old. But
So yeah.
I keep in mind in terms of the holidays, the fact that they have family, they have biological family, and I'm not aware of their
Mm,
customs. I'm not aware of
yeah.
what their culture, what's important to their culture. And it's
Mhm.
important for me to know or try to find out, because I want my kids to experience that. Just because they're not with their biological family doesn't mean that they don't have a
Mhm.
past and that they don't have a rich
Mm,
culture. And so my
mm.
goal with them is to find out more, bring that culture into our home, and incorporate it with my own customs.
I love that. I have a couple of kiddos from the Middle East, and although we've had them a good portion of their life, they do have memories from before. And instead of finding that something to fear and worry about, well, that's gonna interfere with what we do, incorporating both, just don't you think it just makes it so much more, powerful, so much more, enjoyable? Because now instead of just the traditional turkey, ham, whatever it is that folks have, we bring Middle Eastern food into that celebration. They love homemade yogurt. I mean, I thought it was like what you make yogurt out of old milk. I mean, I had a hard time with it, but they love it. And now I've learned to love it. Roasted pine nuts, never knew it was a thing. But to them, when I roast pine nuts, the smell through the house, um, we sit down and watch a holiday movie, which I have an addiction to Hallmark anyway, especially this time of year. But we sit down and they eat those pine nuts, and I know that it brings back some joy, even if they don't understand why.
Can you also please buy like the Arabic seeds that we used to have?
Are you talking about pine nuts? When I roast them and put
Yes.
salt on them in a
Yes.
little bowl?
Yes.
You want pine nuts this year again? All right. Does that mean something to you?
Yes. We used to have them were in Arabic, and I like them very much.
Then I promise you this year I will make you roasted pine nuts. All right. That's awesome.
No, and I think
So
that's
I-
beautiful. I think that's
Mhm.
absolutely beautiful
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
in my case, even though my kids don't have those memories, foster care and adoption are not dirty words in our household, even if they don't really understand it
not.
now.
Yeah.
So my second son, who's still in foster care, but I've already signed his adoption paperwork, I just found out the last couple of weeks that he may be of Armenian descent. And so now I have to learn about
wow.
Armenian culture, and I'm finding that exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm finding it
Oh, wow.
just exciting about teaching him a little bit about his culture. And for me, in order for me to teach him about his culture, I not only want to read about it, but I want to be able to find individuals who will teach me, but also share their experiences with him. So I think that's kind of cool. I like the fact that we are a multicultural family and to bring that all together
I
so
love it.
he can be proud of who he is and his background. And I can be proud to say, oh, look at this is my son and he's part Armenian and he can talk about it. So those are the kind of things I think are extremely important so that I'm building memories now. So his culture is not foreign to him. So that hopefully as he ages, that he doesn't feel as disconnected
Yeah.
from that culture. So that's what I'm hoping for. So the fact that you're roasting pine nuts and sitting with the kids and watching your Hallmark movies, that's priceless. Absolutely priceless.
And what's really exciting too, Faye, is that, a lot of those movies that we watch on Hallmark or wherever everybody watches their cry movies at during the holidays often have a lesson, right? Like even our friend Rudolph, I mean, when I think of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? He didn't fit in. He was that kind of, I don't know, individual that stood out. He stood out because he was different. Well, what a great opportunity for caregivers to look at that simple movie with a simple story and show them the power they have in being different. And although he was bullied and he really went through a very difficult time, he turned out to be the hero. And how can we utilize these different traditions that we have in American culture, right, to support some of that lack of self-esteem, that depression that often hits during this time of year? Because we have to remember that the kiddos in care often do remember their past, even if they don't talk about it. And one of the things I noticed with the kiddos in my home, I have 6 right now in my home, and one of them last year, he wanted to open his present early. Well, we don't open presents early, but he had never really had presents before. So he couldn't understand why these darn things were sitting there underneath the tree and we couldn't access them because he wanted it and that was all there was to it. So what he did is, I had an infant at the time, he went in and he took a big, not the small one, of course, the Sam's Club size baby powder, and completely created a snow flurry in our den. So it was probably, no lie, a half inch to an inch of powder. It looked really pretty actually for that time of year, but I want you to imagine what that was like just before company came, when you're getting all ready and you want the food to be hot, and I've got a snow flurry that smells like baby powder in my den. Well, I could have lost it, right? I could have just thought, what are you doing? Are you kidding? And just really lost it. Instead, I have to remember all those things that you learn, like that regulation, that calming spirit, understanding that these kids don't understand our traditions. This could have been the only present this child's ever gotten.
Yeah.
I've had kids where they look at all the gifts and they say, wow, I got a Matchbox car last year, and that was the first present I've ever gotten. Or I've never unwrapped a gift that's been wrapped with wrapping paper. And to go there, right? To understand that is their perspective, their lens that they look at the holidays. I mean, we look at the holidays as lights and decorations, and we go to Hobby Lobby and spend, whatever amount of crazy money on garland. And to them, the holidays is a day that they're not with their family. And they remember their family, and they remember that was the one day their mom cooked breakfast. Or that was the one day that their family sat together out of the other 364 days where they were ignored. Do you guys have any memory? And this is kind of a heavy question, okay? Do you have any memory before you came here of what Christmas was? And is there anything that you want to include in our Christmas?
We used to do Christmas breakfast, and it was the one time that we could have like a fully like homemade like and it was eggs Benedict, and every year we'd have it just in the morning, and it just was like really good.
So eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
That happens to be my favorite breakfast. Give me one of these.
It is also mine.
So let's do that this year. What does the holiday mean to the children in care? Every single one of them. And if you have 6 kids, you have 6 different stories of what the holidays mean to them. And this season, and Faye, if I could just talk to you about this, I haven't shared this with anyone, but we do a big winter wonderland, as you know, and we have 700 plus foster kiddos that come and enjoy Christmas and the holiday season with us in our front yard. And we're busy, right? We have lots of gifts to wrap. Santa has lots of gifts to wrap. We didn't get them, Santa got them, but we helped Santa wrap them. And I had a kiddo go just really lose it emotionally. And I want caregivers to understand that self-harm and harm to others is more prevalent now than any other time of year. So what have we done to help support our kids? What I'm watching my children go through is heartbreaking. I have another child that she's a medically fragile infant, and she was admitted to the hospital last night with pneumonia. It's that time of year. Everyone has colds and RSV and all these different things. And it's this beautiful holiday season on one hand, but yet this tremendously difficult time, money shortage, all of the things. So being that this is what you do, could you be my care service partner right now and just help me to cope with what's going on in my home?
What I would tell you is, number one, you're not alone in this. You should give yourself some grace because, as you mentioned, you have an infant in the hospital with pneumonia. You have other children in your home who are dealing with a lot of big emotions, a lot of trauma. And that trauma they have to work through, no matter how much you love them and no matter how much you care for them. I think you need to, reach out to someone like myself and your friends and your family, and not always have to be strong. It's okay. It's okay if you're not strong today. It's okay if you're not strong this hour. you need to be able to cry and grieve and scream at the sky to say, why do I have an infant in the hospital, and why is my other child self-harmed? Neither of them deserve this, and you don't deserve this either. So the first thing I tell you is you're doing all you can right now. And right now that's enough. But at the same time, as you take care of these beautiful children in your care, reach out to someone who can take care of you, even if it's just for an hour, even if it's just for a day. Because as you mentioned, the holiday is not just difficult for children who are experienced foster care. They're difficult for a lot of people. And one thing that I've been told and I live by is always reach out to your strongest friend, the one that everyone goes to when there's a problem. That might be you, Dorothy, the one that always has an answer or a solution, or who's there to make things better. But when does someone come and just say, Dorothy, what do you need? And I know you'll say, oh, I don't need anything. If they look you in the eye, what do you need? And if you don't tell me what you need, I'm going to figure it out, so that they could just relieve some of the pressure off of you. Just even if it's just 1%, so that you can get up and keep moving. Those are the things. And if no one comes to you and says, Dorothy, what you need, I need you to find the strength to call someone and say, I'm drowning right now. I'm just trying to tread water, but I need a little help. Can you please do this for me? And I believe people will. They're just looking for a little direction. You're doing amazingly well. You come here with your holiday decorations in the background, and you come with a smile on your face, but I know your heart is heavy. I truly, truly do. So that's what I would say. And then I'd also say, what do you need from me? And if you don't answer me, I'm going to ask you again off this podcast. What do you need from me? What can I do, no matter how small? Because there's a lot going on in your world right now, and you should not have to do it alone. And that goes for your husband also. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Faye. I think every one of our caregivers at this time of year, they need to hear happy holidays. They need to hear the songs. They need to watch the movies, but to balance that with reality, right? That although we put up all these decorations and we're really excited and we can't wait for family, that also comes with the shopping, the money to buy all the food, prepare all the food, clean your house, make sure all the kiddos see their birth families, celebrate that, be happy about that. And yet your heart's breaking.
Yeah.
Your heart's breaking because in so many cases, the kids' hearts are breaking because they miss their family. They miss their traditions. And I think that, again, it feels like one more thing. But if we can create this environment of helping each other, instead of all of it dumps on our shoulders, to have 2 kids admitted to 2 different hospitals in one day is hard. But on the same token, I also brought one of my children that I had placement of, but he needed a higher level of care. We went and picked him up at the higher level of care and brought him home for the holidays. So
I know him. I met him, and he's wonderful. I'm so happy you did that.
Yeah, he's here. He's very excited, and he keeps saying, "Oh, Mom, thank you. I love you, and I'm so excited." And it's just a joyous occasion. So I think at the same time that we feel this kind of pressure to be happy, and then we kind of fall down a little bit because of all of the extra demands. How do we balance that, right? How do we find where we can still sing Jingle Bells, right? Or whatever your favorite holiday song is. And at the same time, be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
I had to record this podcast, which I looked forward to, but I can't wait to get to the hospital to hold my baby. And so all of those things are demands. I am so grateful that I have that baby.
Mm-hmm.
I am so grateful that she is with me this season. I am so grateful that my other child is going to get the help she needs and then come home and be in a better place. I am so grateful that my son is home because he has no other family. And although we can't do a day-to-day because of his, needs, and that's reality, we get to enjoy his beautiful smile. And hopefully this year he won't do the snow flurry. But if he does, I will rejoice in the snow flurry, right? Because it was kind of fun, actually. We ended up walking around and rolling around in it. So I think it's important to know just what you said for me, and I appreciate it so much, Faye, is we're not alone. We may feel alone. We may feel like we're carrying this backpack that people keep putting bricks in, and it's getting heavier and heavier. But the reality is, at the same time someone's putting a brick in, somebody else is helping lift it off
Yeah.
my shoulders.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that we create a family of caregivers to support each other through this very enjoyable but very stressful time.
And we don't
Thank
have to be
you.
perfect. We don't have to be perfect.
We don't.
Guess
We
what?
don't.
If the house isn't clean, it isn't clean. It's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes that laundry has to wait. And if it waited a week, it could wait another week. It is okay.
Yeah. No,
But
true,
sometimes
true, true.
You wanna make this amazing meal, and sometimes you're like, nope, I'm gonna make an amazing meal that's half as large. It doesn't need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have every type of pie or what have you. Or guess what? If this is something you can afford, outsource it. Order in. Whatever. It doesn't have to be turkey. If you can do that, if that's something that you're comfortable with, do it. Just to relieve
Yeah.
some of the strain off of you.
Mhm.
And I also think it's a valuable lesson to kids to see that they don't have to.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be perfect around the holidays. Because guess what? Maybe it wasn't perfect before they came into your home. I never was in foster care during the holidays, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience because
Absolutely.
we were a lower income. We were poor. Let's just get it to the point. We were poor. After the divorce, we became poor. We went from middle class to poor. And so the holidays were rough for me as a little kid. And the reason being was you do the holidays and then you go to school and everyone talks about what they got as gifts.
Yeah.
And maybe you didn't get anything that year. Or maybe you got stuff, but it was more practical. It was clothes and underwears and
those
socks.
Socks and underwear.
Those socks. Now, as adults, we understand why we needed the socks and the underwear and all of that. As a kid, you just wanted the latest, greatest, craziest thing to have for yourself, but to also show off. I remember when I was really young, I asked Mom a question. I don't remember her answer, but I remember asking her whether or not Santa liked me, whether or not Santa liked Black people, because I couldn't figure out why I, the good kid, didn't get all the good gifts and why the gifts under the tree, if there were any at all, were so sparse. And I just couldn't figure it out because we lived on the third floor of a triple decker in Boston. There's no chimney. How's it getting in? Is it climbing through the windows? Is it coming through the front or the back door? Is it
the keyhole?
I just didn't the keyhole. I just didn't understand how that man and all the gifts were coming in. And obviously he couldn't.
Faye, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Just figure it out. You know
how does
he do it? You know?
Yeah. You're just saying.
I just couldn't figure it out. So I just felt really lonely. So I think the reason I'm bringing this up is we talked a little bit about how there are kids who have traditions with their biological family, but also there are kids who don't. Or their tradition is not having a tradition.
Yeah.
So there's the piece where I wonder, as a child, when I was in foster care, if I was in foster care during the holidays, especially during Christmas, because that's what my family celebrated or at least recognized, how would I feel having nothing or getting nothing as a gift or no traditions whatsoever or nothing special done during that time to go in a home where there's a lot of tradition and there are a lot of gifts and treats and fun. Remember that little girl I mentioned that who was wondering why Santa didn't like her? Was it because of the color of her skin, or was it because she lived on the third floor of a triple decker? But he likes me now. because I'm
How
in another home.
confusing.
It is. I
Yeah.
wonder,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that piece where, and
Mhm.
also we talk a lot about how foster care, kinship care is based on reunification
Mhm.
for these children to go back with their biological family and be raised by a
Mhm.
biological family. There's
Mhm.
also this piece where I'm getting a lot of stuff in this new home
Right.
potentially,
Yeah. And I'm confused, right?
and I'm
Because I
confused.
love my mom, but I felt really bad when I was there, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt like there was something wrong with me and Santa couldn't find me there. And then all of a sudden now I'm in this new home and I'm being like showered with gifts
Yeah.
potentially. And I like this. So now I feel guilty
And now I feel
because
guilty.
I don't want to go home, at
Yeah,
least during
because
the
I
Christmas
don't wanna
season.
go home. And you also have to think
Right.
about this, but from the biological parent's point of view, who they couldn't or didn't know how to give that
Right.
to their children,
Mhm.
and now their child is coming back to them, for visits, let's say,
Yes.
and they're
Yeah.
talking about, "Oh, we did this, we did that, we went here, we went there."
Right.
How does that make them feel? And this is not to say to caregivers, don't don't give your foster child all that you can or want to. It's not that. It's I
Right.
don't want to put it out
Oh,
there. I just want you
no.
to be conscious of the potential feelings and that sometimes the kids will act out in ways that are surprising to you and
Mhm.
you're not quite sure why. And guess what? Maybe they can't articulate why to you. Even if they're 15
Absolutely.
years old, they may not be able to articulate the why.
I
So,
don't think sometimes they know, right?
no.
They don't know why. Like, why am I angry right now?
Mm,
Why? And this is another thing that you bring up that I think is such a valid point. Is let's say we're the caregiver, right? That goes out and buys the remote control airplane, right? Goes up in the air, and within 2 minutes, it has crash landed onto cement. It is broken. Now you're like, I just spent $150 on that, what, or Santa, yeah,
Mhm.
whatever. And so how do we handle that? Because a lot of our kids have never had anything
Nope.
that's expensive. They've never had anything really nice. So I think anyway, as a caregiver, we need to be prepared for the breaking of toys. We need to be prepared that these kiddos haven't learned that delicate touch or the fact that this item has 1,000 pieces and we don't pour it out onto the floor because those small little itty bitty Star Wars Lego pieces are going to find themselves in every crevice in your living room, right? And so we need to be prepared if we do spend a lot of money or not, that it may not be your vision of how this child should react when they open this present that you can't wait for them to see and they open it and they're sad.
Yeah.
They're angry. They are careless, right? So as caregivers, I think we really have to get to a place where we're doing it for the child. It's not about the reaction we are hoping to get. Like, I am going to make this child's first Christmas with me the best they've ever had. Let's go to where they are, not where we want them to be. Let's have that talk beforehand of what makes Christmas special to you. Is there anything that would make this holiday season special for you? Besides the eggnog, the eggs Benedict, and the roasted pine nuts, which we will include in this Christmas. And I thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else that would help you to feel like it's your Christmas, not my Christmas?
I used to do this almost every year. I used to go to Amanda's house and like bring them cookies or whatever and hang out at their house for a while. And I kind of want to start doing that again every Christmas, or if they're obviously okay with that.
So you're talking about going back and seeing your family, your birth family.
No. Amanda, my best friend, the one you met at the.
Oh, that.
Yeah, because
okay.
I spend about 50% of my Christmases at their house, actually.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because like Papa was in the hospital or he was like at work, that kind of thing. So
yeah. So you would go to someone else's house and celebrate.
And they were basically like they were more of a family than my biological family was. So
wow, I didn't know that either. Yeah. What did they do for Christmas that made it special?
They also adopted the eggs Benedict thing because they knew I loved
it.
They
Why
knew I
wouldn't
loved
they?
They knew I loved it so much. But like we would all go down to a skating rink and ice skating rink, and we'd like invite some friends over, and like we'd all just go ice skating and stuff like that. And it was just like, it just was special, especially because they didn't have to do that, and yet they still did. So I don't know.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
We didn't have ice skating where we come from. I never ice skate before, so I just fall on my legs if I ever go ice skating.
Well, I think ice skating needs to happen.
It's so fun.
Yeah, no, I can't ice skate. My ankles go in like that, and then I fall in.
Mine do too, but
embarrassing.
I've learned to actually work on it. So
What makes the holiday season special to you? You've never celebrated Christmas. What did you celebrate?
Mhm.
Well, if you celebrated Hanukkah, let's do that.
Yes.
Right? If you celebrated Kwanzaa, let's do that. I can't wait. I'm so excited to learn about your tradition. And you said something really important earlier. You said, no tradition. Wow. Can you imagine no tradition being the tradition? But it also gives us a clean slate, not to incorporate a child coming into your home into your traditions, but what new traditions can you create with this community, this new family that you've created? Because again, however many kids, that's how many traditions you have or lack of.
Yes.
So how can you bring this community, this family together and create this beautiful holiday experience for everyone? And that's the challenge. And I think too, the challenge is take the hat off that says, this is what the holidays look like. This is what you have to look at. I'll never forget, I had two friends. They were both psychologists, married psychologists. And, I wanted the Better Homes and Gardens look. I mean, I won't lie. I wanted the Hallmark, where everyone comes in and the house is spotless and the bathroom doesn't need toilet paper, the roll's empty. I wanted that. I don't know. I just wanted to create that feeling, not an illusion. I really wanted everyone to feel at peace and be, I don't know, feel the magic. And I'll never forget one time they both came over and bless their hearts. And they said, Dorothy, you know what I love about you? And I said, what? Like thinking, Better Homes and Gardens. And they said, the fact that you don't care that your house is full with toys and everything's all over the floor. I went, oh my gosh, you basically said you love me because I'm a hoarder. or whatever, And I didn't say anything, but I have carried that around for 20 years, right? Because I'm like, I really wanted this fantasy and this illusion, and you just totally blew me up, man. And I had to give myself grace that although I wanted to create something, what I've created is beautiful.
Yes.
What I've created is this magical sense of family and safety and love. And if there are toys on the ground, if the toilet paper needs to be changed or it's not going one way or the other and it's not folded in a freaking little triangle at the bottom like a hotel, it's okay. Because what is here is real.
Yes.
And that's what I want caregivers and families to understand during the holiday. It doesn't matter whether your tinsel is bright, the lights are all shining. What matters is that what you've created is real. It's safe. That's tradition. Thank you, Faye, for being here. Thank you for sharing your just your beautiful life and your beautiful heart.
Well, thank you, Dorothy. I love this. I absolutely love talking about my experiences and what I hope for my kids and just learning a lot from you. I mean, obviously we work together, but I see and I hear how you talk about your children. And I mean your children. You're taking care of them. And you're the best thing for them right now. You are absolutely the best thing. You were meant to be here with them. They were meant to be with you for right now, for however long they are. And I want to thank you as a former foster child myself for loving them and caring for them and fighting for them.
They're our gift, aren't they?
Yep, they certainly are.
Okay, you guys ready? Be careful.
No.
No, please no.
Yeah.
Please no.
No, it would make my Christmas. Okay, here we go.
I'll
Ready?
do it by myself.
Okay, do it. Jingle bells.
Bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Hey!